We have our third session of the morning, and we are going to actually have a report on the national committees of the International Year of Pulses, which they've been doing so much work, actually, and they've been meeting actually concurrently throughout this meeting. But we're going to meet with some of the movers and shakers of what's happening on the national committees within the individual countries, which is pretty exciting. And the moderator of this panel is Cindy Brown. Cindy is the president of Chippewa Valley Bean Company in Menominee, Wisconsin. She's been very active and a member of the International Year of Pulses Oversight Committee. She is a true friend and a great person and a great industry member, and she looks great in her black bean tennis shoes. Doesn't she? Can we give her a round of applause for the black bean tennis shoes? That's right. Cindy, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. A couple more people I'd actually like to call up front. Connor, if you could join us. Connor Rosine is acting as the secretariat of this committee. He's done a great job. He has to navigate multiple time zones in order to meet with all of us. And Julianne Kern, I'd like her to come up as well. She has a fairly large piece of this. Andrew Jacobs has really worked as a co-partner on this committee, being involved in many particular parts, from being the first in the world to start a committee for the International Year, as well as being involved with recipe collections and school programs. So it's quite an esteemed group that we have the opportunity to work with. I'd like to welcome you to our National Committee meeting. And our normal committee meetings are done by conference call, and they're staged over a two-time period during one day, where we have to have a meeting early in the morning to take advantage of one time zone, and later on in the day to take advantage of another. And sometimes the secretariat gets a little tired if they've been up all that long. And I also want to compliment many times Jackie Tenuta, because she's often on both calls as well. So you can see that we have quite a wide geographic area of participation within our International Year. And I'm very proud that we've had the convergence of so many countries and so much willingness to take our pulse crop forward and make people well aware of it. So at this point, I'd like to ask Connor to come up and walk through the number of global activities that we'll be participating in.
Hello, everyone. I'd first like to start off by reporting that Morgane Danilou is a new member of our secretariat team, and she'll be taking over for Katie Lee on one half of the calls. Half of you know my voice, half of you do not. Those that do not will be getting to know Morgane very well. Just wanted to give you all an update on that. I just wanted to start off by telling you about some of the global activities that we as the GPC IYOP international groups are working on. Just this week, we were working on a side event at the Codex Committee on Pesticide Revenues in Beijing as well. This comes following another side event during the CCP in Rome in October. We have a number of activities underway for 2016, the Jaipur conference, which is very exciting. We have a number of projects on the go regarding the World Food Prize, the Pan-African Grain Legumes Research Conference, another exciting touchstone moment. And we have these 6 signature events that have been identified as the key points throughout the arc of 2016. Just wanted to let you know what's going on at an international level. The other thing that I'd like to tell you about is some of the work that's being done by the Creating Awareness Thematic Committee, ably chaired by the wonderful Georgie Ailey. As some of you may know, part of the work of the Creating Awareness Committee is right in the name, to create awareness, but another part of the work, of the important work, is to create tools to allow those that wish to create awareness about pulses, to promote pulses as part of 2016, to do that on their own, and you are all the key part of that. So I just wanted to let you know about some of the things that we'll be pushing out to assist you all. The Pulse School lesson plans and the message maps are scheduled for a May completion. They're both going under review. The school lesson plans are going under final review. We'll be doing a nice graphical presentation for everyone as a part of that as well. Once the message maps go through their current round of review, however, we're going to be distributing them to all of the national committees. And we would really implore you to provide feedback to us on those message maps, be it the messaging themselves, if there's any questions that you feel aren't answered, perhaps local to your country, that are missing from the message maps, please, we would love to have that feedback. The more feedback we get, the stronger a document it is. So we'd love to have that from you. And like I said, these tools are for you to help you promote pulses and get a sense of excitement going in your countries. I'd also like to let you know that we're working forward on the outward-facing website and the recipe database. We just had our Creating Awareness Committee yesterday, our meeting yesterday, and we're looking forward to rolling out some stuff here, beginning development here shortly. But I also wanted to raise with you that we're hoping that you'll keep those recipe donations coming. We've received a large number of them so far, but we'd like to have a large number from anyone who has some recipes lying around. 1, 2, if you have dozens, any donations would be great, and we'd love to feature those to give a global sense to the database. Up next, we have Julianne Curran, who's going to be speaking a little bit about some of the global activities regarding the food competition.
Thanks, Connor. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today just to tell you about one of, I think, the really exciting activities that we have planned for 2016, and that is a global food product development competition. Now, what I thought I would do just to start off is to give you an idea of what we're envisioning for this competition. I'm going to show you a little video that is about the competition that we hold every year in Canada. We call the competition Mission Impulsible. And as you watch this, I want you to imagine that this is the type of competition we will hold in multiple countries in 2016. And then the winners from each country will come together and compete on a global stage.
It's a culinary challenge unlike any other. It's Mission Impulsible. It will require patience.
With an angel food cake, we went through 16 prototypes. They all collapsed on us.
Passion.
Our product is a dark chocolate truffle tort, so it's a chocolate layer that includes black beans upon a crunchy garbanzo and nut crust.
A killer product.
My group and I have come up with an innovative product that is a fusion of the Western favorite, the vegetarian burger, with a pow of Indian spices and flavors.
And most importantly, pulses.
Katie and I knew nothing about pulses before this, and so it was a big learning curve for us to be like, oh, they're grown in Saskatchewan. We didn't know this, and we've been living here our whole lives.
Pulses, like peas, beans, chickpeas, and lentils, are nutritional powerhouses packed with fiber, iron, protein, and much more. The trick is getting more people to eat them more often. Mission Impulsible is a food product development competition held annually by Pulse Canada. University students from across Canada compete to develop new products incorporating whole pulses or pulse ingredients. Do you have what it takes?
So the judges are evaluating sensory attributes, health and nutrition, obviously product promotion and marketing, and then the overall presentation of the product.
And here's the icing on the cake. Provincial winners have the chance to compete at the national competition, and the top 3 teams will go home with cold, hard cash.
Today, these teams will battle it out by demonstrating their pulse product concepts to all of you.
So that's 16% of pulses in our angel food cake. Not bad for a dessert.
This is Mission Impulsible. If you can't stand the heat.
When we first did it, we just used bean flour, and when we tried it, it didn't taste very good at all.
Stay out of the kitchen.
Try to find a gap in the market, something that you haven't seen out there before, or just add your own little spin to something.
In the end, I came up with a gluten-free chocolate whippy pie with orange filling.
Ultimately, we developed Pulsabilities, a gluten-free pasta pulse-based product.
A lot of people have been saying that they think it feels too decadent to be healthy.
They eat it and they're like, is this gluten-free? Really? Can I have the recipe?
Make it, market it, pitch it. This is your mission.
We want to get involved in next year's Mission.
So that just gives you an idea of the competition that we have been running annually in Canada, and we're really excited about the opportunity to engage many other countries and do the same thing, so we have a real global competition in 2016. So the objective of the competition is, I think first and foremost, to engage the up-and-coming food scientists that are going to move on and work in different capacities, creating food products. And so we really want them to increase their awareness about the opportunity to use pulse ingredients. And I think there's also the opportunity to engage food industry, because students are often so creative and innovative in their ideas, and so it's really an opportunity to take some of that and use it towards engaging the food industry as well. So we do have some interested leads that have already stepped forward in several countries, and I have them listed up here on the slide. So we have interested leads from Canada, the US, and Australia, and I should have updated this slide, but I think those first three countries are confirmed to go ahead with national competitions. We also have interested leads in China and India, but I wanted just to put it out there to anyone here in the audience who, if you are interested in getting involved, if you would like to explore the opportunity to do the competition in your country, we would welcome that, and we want to make this as big as possible. So the idea is that we would establish all the details of the competition by hopefully the end of this summer, and then competitions could start anywhere in the fall of 2015 and continue on into the spring of 2016 in each country. And then starting in the summer or even early spring, we would start having semi-final competitions. And the idea is that we would like to hold the semi-final competition in North America, one in Asia Pacific, one in the Middle East, and one in Europe. So some of these events have been confirmed, and others we're still trying to work through the details. But we will be discussing this in more detail at a meeting later on today, and I'll give you the details of that shortly. So after those semifinal competitions, we are hoping that we would hold an international global event with the winners from each country, or the semifinalist competitions, to compete in Rome in conjunction with World Food Day in October of 2016. So there is a meeting later on today. It will be taking place at 10 after 1 until about 2:40 p.m., and it will take place in the IOP suite, which is in room 632 in the Palace Tower. So if you're able to attend, that would be great if you're interested in getting more involved or learning more about this. And if you can't make it, you can also just contact me directly, and I've put my email address up on the screen. So thank you.
That is very exciting. I've had the opportunity to attend the Mission Impulsible in Canada at the CSCA conference, and the imagination and the scope of the products that come up under these competitions are fantastic. So thank you for sharing that with us, Julianne. But I'd like to just maybe drift aside for 1 minute here, because we're talking about engaging food scientists, and these are young professionals that are just getting their start. And as we think about the conversation in the last session that were the Cecil's young professionals, at the end of this session, Dr. Witters came up and talked about the number of young research scientists in agronomic and plant science that are going to be involved with 6 scholarships that they're going to announce through USAID. And he wondered how they could partner with our Cecil's young professionals. And I see a beautiful outreach here to have the same with the food technologists, food scientists. So What an opportunity with IYOP to bring all of our different areas together and expand Cecil's beyond just what we were as a trading organization. So I'm pretty excited. The next aspect that we're going to talk about, I'm going to ask Robin Anderson to come up and share our conversations about branding. And many of you yesterday in the room, or the day before actually, saw the launch of our Pulse brand. So lots of exciting things.
Thank you so much, Cindy, and thank you for all of you who have been working so tirelessly at a national level. And indeed, Cindy and I did have a chance to enjoy some of those great products in last year's competitions, and it'll be very exciting to roll those out across the globe next year. I think Julianne's done an amazing job. And you should know that there are lots of partnerships brewing, partnerships about fostering young professionals, and also partnerships in doing things potentially like additional food competitions around humanitarian products. The World Food Program is interested in that. So we're going to continue to have more information about great projects to undertake. But one of the things we need to deal with right now is something we alluded to in South Africa, which is the challenges around making sure that we're branding and talking about the International Year appropriately. And it is a bit hard sometimes for some of us to understand the UN process, but we have to be very conscious that the United Nations has a few key rules, that their blue United Nations logo is for use only by the United Nations. As you know, they have security, peacekeeping forces, troops, all sorts of very formal diplomatic relations. So none of us can make use of the blue UN logo. In addition to that, they have created a new logo, which we have temporarily X'd out here. That is the new logo for the International Year of Pulses. It has the heart and the spoon, and it has been designed by the Food and Agriculture Organization. It will be the logo for the year as owned by the UN. And they are currently creating an international steering committee, of which we expect GPC will be part. And we will be working with them to find specific licensing opportunities where we can use that formal international logo. One of their rules, though, is that it can never be for commercial activity, and it is only to be licensed on a per-use basis. So from the Secretariat perspective globally, we will be working to get access to that logo in as many places as possible in the next few months, and we'll continue to be keeping you updated. We expect by around July we'll start to get some direction from FAO about the use of that, at which time we're hoping we can tell you for specific activities that we will be able to use that logo. But right now, we need to make absolutely certain that we stay on side with the UN rules and that we are licensing each of those specifically. And groups like the Global Pulse Confederation that are not-for-profit would, in theory, be eligible to make good use of that. So we'll keep you posted there, but until such time as it's done, we need to just remember we need that discipline. But the great thing is the Global Pulse Confederation will be able to use the new Pulses brand that was launched, and we'll be talking about the future of food extensively in the materials we're developing, like the schools kits, like the competition profiles. And the question of how we then license that to other actors is actually under discussion. Gordon Bacon made the presentation about the fact that a new branding oversight team is being developed because this brand will live well past 2016. It's an investment in the future of Pulses. So we will be working on how organizations within the GPC umbrella will be licensed, and we will again keep you up to date on that. But the most important thing is the materials will be able to start rolling out to you, like the great work that's being done in creating awareness on the events kit, on the schools program, on the various other elements. We'll have that brand, and you can reproduce that material, translate it into your national languages, etc. So that resource will become available to you almost immediately. And then any specific additional use you need, we will be dealing with an umbrella solution for organizational use during the year. But we are moving toward an identity now. This is a big leap forward, and we're very much looking forward to working with all of you in implementing the future of food 2016 and beyond. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Robin. We're very excited about our brands because we've waited quite a long time. And to have an opportunity so close is really great. I'd like now to do a tour de table of activities, and there are a number of you in the room who have very major plans that are going on. And to begin and to start this, I'd like to invite Chandrasekhar from India to come up to the podium and share what's happening in his country.
Morning, friends. Thank you, Cindy, for inviting me. 2 years ago, when the talk of International Year of Pulses came up for the first time, and I thought to myself, this is an extraordinary opportunity for India, simply because India is the world's largest, and it's now become a cliche statement, world's largest producer, processor, importer, and consumer of pulses. And the entire pulses sector is full of inefficiencies, and that needs a major transformation. The IYOP is going to provide to India, has in fact provided to India, an extraordinary opportunity for a total transformation. And we at the India Pulses and Grains Association, and I personally am passionately attached to this food and nutrition security issues, and I work with a number of institutions, including the Government of India. And I'm going to share with you the plan of India going towards IYOP and how we are triggering a total transformation in the Indian pulses sector. There are 4 stages in which this is going to be done, or 4 different silos in which the activities are going to happen, and it will eventually be dovetailed. The first one relates to research. We are setting up a research industry interface by collaborating with research institutions in India, including the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, Indian Institute of Pulses Research, Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, and the ICRISAT, to trigger research initiatives, to look at what are the requirements of the trade and industry in the next 5 to 10 years time frame from a trade perspective. We are also going to be discussing with researchers what are the various possibilities that exist for producing newer varieties of products with newer nutritional content, maybe drought-resistant, heat-tolerant varieties, or better varieties that meet the dryland conditions in India. For the first initiative is going to be a research industry interface, which will bring researchers and industry representatives together to trigger research into evolving newer varieties that would meet the food and nutrition requirements for the country. Our productivity levels are rather low in India at about 700 kilograms a hectare. We have 26 million hectares under pulses cultivation, and even if the yields are raised to a ton, just a ton, which is half of what the Western world does, I think India will become a major producer of pulses, and that's going to be the effort over the coming years with the trigger of the IYOP. The second activity that's going to happen is mill modernization. We have about 15,000 dal mills in India, very small, fragmented, 5 tons a day, 10 tons a day capacity. And all these are they have antiquated technology, the supply chain is inefficient, their energy efficiency is low, and we are looking at funding through the Government of India and some of the multilateral agencies like the World Bank and IFC for modernization of dal mills. And once dal mills are modernized, and I'm sure the yield levels and the productivity levels of the dal mills will improve, that will reduce costs, and that will also become a trigger for infusing supply chain efficiencies. The third initiative going towards IYOP is going to be with food processing companies. We are in the process of talking to major food processing companies how best pulses can be incorporated into wholesome, economical, protein-rich food products that are both accessible and available to needy consumers. Some of the food processing companies have already evinced interest. We have proof of concept through a research that was done 3 or 4 years ago of incorporating pulses in traditional Indian food products. And I think this is a thought that needs to be taken forward. And therefore, Indian food processing companies are going to be in this game. We want to even incentivize through the Government of India for incorporating more and more pulses in traditional Indian food products. The fourth initiative is going to be major expansion in consumption of pulses, particularly for the weaker sections of the population. And we have a large mass of population that suffers from protein deficiency in India. There are a number of welfare programs of the Government of India. We call them publicly funded welfare programs called the Public Distribution System, the Midday Meal Scheme for school children, the ICDS, Integrated Child Development Program, and so on. We are in talks with policymakers at the highest level in the Government of India to encourage the government to come up with a policy prescription that will encourage greater utilization of pulses in the welfare programs which are run by the Government of India. There are far too many ministries involved in running many of these programs, and we are trying to dovetail their efforts into a single ministry so that decision-making becomes much faster. And the last one is, of course, market access. Currently, India's imports are open, but exports are restricted, and I'm sure with proper representation and lobbying with the Government of India, India's exports also will be opened up. Once India's production begins to improve, and I see no reason why production should not improve. We have seen that happen in the past. Until about 2010, India produced only 15 million tons of pulses. And over the last 3 years, it's gone up to between 18 and 19 million tons. And therefore, there is an opportunity to increase production and productivity. And once that's achieved, exports will be opened up. India will not only be an importer, India will also be in the export market. Therefore, our plan at the India Pulses and Grains Association fits in very well with the 4 themes of the IYOP: food and nutrition security, productivity and sustainability issues, market access. And as far as awareness is concerned, we are going to start a major campaign for initiating a cooking competition, particularly amongst students in the catering colleges in India. There are hundreds of catering colleges across the country. We have 2 streams of students, one for catering technology, the other for catering management. The students of catering technology will certainly be interested in participating in cookery competition, and we are going to motivate them to use pulses in novel ways, and that's going to be I guess is going to increase awareness, and hopefully we'll come up with more novel products, more novel applications of pulses in food products. And I'm hoping that many of the food processing companies will actually support this initiative of cookery competition through catering colleges. I think finally, we're also working with a big celebrity, Bollywood celebrity in Bombay for endorsement of pulses as health food, pulses as the future of food. And when I go back, hopefully we'll rope in someone. We've already started the dialogue with that personality. And I think that will also have an impact on the market in terms of creating awareness. I know it's an absolutely ambitious program for India. It's a massive, daunting challenge. But I think we are willing to take up this challenge. We want to catch the bull by the horns, as they say. Funding is required. Nothing will move without funding. We are open to partnering with any institution. Funds are welcome, and the funding partners can actually come up with their views of what they expect, or what are the outcomes that they expect out of their possible funding. And therefore, this is the plan I thought I must unveil formally in this wonderful forum. As I said again, ambitious plan, ambitious targets, but I'm convinced it is doable. It can't be done in the next 18 months, that is for sure. The next 18 months, we're going to create a big momentum. And in a 3 to 5 year time frame, I'm sure the Indian pulses sector is not going to be what you see it as today. There is going to be a transformation in terms of production, productivity, the milling industry, the consumption rates, and of course, more and more food products incorporating pulses. And of course, we seek the cooperation of almost everyone present here in going towards our objective and our goal. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
So that's quite an ambitious plan, and you're right, Chandrasekhar, it's not going to happen in the next 18 months. But isn't that our dream, that as we go forward, that this is just 2016 as our launch, and that we have momentum to drive forward another 10, 15, 20 years? Well, we have more people in the audience that are on the international committees, and I'm going to call you out and ask you to share some of the information that you have. If you're more comfortable in doing it from the floor with a microphone, we do have that available, or please, we'd like to welcome you to come to the front. Mr. Kunichiro, could you tell us about the great activities that you've just recently completed with FoodX in Japan, and what it looks like for the next year?
Hi, this is Kunichiro Amakas of Japan Pea and Bean Importers Associations. This year, we had a booth at the FoodX Japan this March. It is mainly for creating awareness of International Year of 2016. And exhibiting FoodX, we could involve many our stakeholders, such as Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Association and many food manufacturers. So and all of them are aware of International Year, and we think it is very good opportunity to increase consumption in Japan. Especially in Japan, most of pulse are mainly used for sweets, and not for like a main dish, soup and salad. So I think we should increase this market. And after exhibiting FoodX, I felt like many people have interest in pulse dish. Especially, we distribute about 2,800 cooking book, and after distributing all books, still many people ask us to get cooking books. So I felt many people don't know how to cook. So so now I'm thinking maybe next our step is maybe using media to let people know more about health and nutrition benefit of pulse, and how to cook pulse dishes. So and I just heard that cooking contest. So maybe Japan should participate that competition, and I like to make more creating awareness activity in Japan. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Kunichiro. We appreciate everything that you've done so far and look forward to more ideas and good things as you move forward. And actually, I'm wondering if I could perhaps have people come up and take the stage versus that, so we have a better view of you. Going forward, Martin, are you here from Argentina? Would you come forward and talk about what you're doing, please? Seems there's a good schools program that's happening.
It's a tough work to us to make things in Argentina because of the lack of consumption of pulses that we have in our usual meals. So one of the first things that we are going to work on is to try to improve or increase a little bit, just a little bit, because that will be a great effort, increase the consumption of pulses, any kind of pulses. Argentina is a main exporter, but all the production goes there to another country. So that will be a great task, and we are trying to work on that. The first things that we make was joint venture with the ministries, especially the agricultural ministry, and we develop a manual of good practices for good agricultural practices in pulses that is already done, and maybe you can find it in the page of the Ministry of Agriculture in a few days, because we are finishing with that. Among with a recipe book with instructions how to cook also pulses in all his varieties. We are going to donate that book to the YOP, because that will be a great. We make a great effort in that book, and we put a lot of recipes from Argentina and other countries of South America. The other thing, we are gathering a group of growers in the main. Argentina has a large structured country with pulses produced in different places. Beans in the north and chickpeas and peas in the center. So we are trying to make a little congress, one-day congress, with technicians, nutrition experts, and so with the growers of that the different type of productions. We just made one last year in Salta, where we gather a lot of bean producers, and we are going to make another one next year in Salta too, because we are 1 month ahead of harvest, so we're trying to talk about this, and the main issue will be the international year. We have planned, and it's already in agenda, and with maybe all the participants, Congress in revalorization, I don't know the name of, we're trying to, it's a Congress in nutrition with pulses, how pulses are good for nutrition, for health, and it's going to be in May 29, May 29. And that's it. It's my first time here as a project leader in the YOP, so I'm very thankful for be here, because I took a lot of ideas to try to bring back to my country and start working on that. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Martin. I think as you look at the challenge of taking a country that's a net exporter of pulses and not a consumer, it's intriguing to be able to help their citizens learn how to eat them and become more involved with the whole pulse production aspect. Allison, would you care to come up and share what's happening in Canada? There seems to be a lot of good things going on. And she's got her iPad, so we're good to go. Thank you. So maybe I should just tell the rest of you, I know we have Tim here from the U.S. I don't see Jesse in the audience, but Andrew is here, and Jan Brot from Belgium, and then I'd like to bring Georgie up from Australia as the last one.
Thanks. Good morning. My name's Alison Amater. I'm a farmer from Alberta, and I know my official title is Chair of Canadian IOP, but I often refer to myself as a cheerleader because it's the staff in all of our provincial organizations plus Pulse Canada that are really doing a tremendous amount of legwork, and I'm got the great opportunity of telling you about it and staying involved and helping brainstorm. Like Martin from Argentina, one of our biggest struggles is that although Canada is a huge exporter, we grow a tremendous number of pulses, our people don't eat a lot of them. And so our goal is really to bring pulses into everybody's everyday menu plans. We want them to think of pulses the same way that a lot of them today think of chicken, beef, and potatoes. So everything that we have done is geared towards reaching the consumers, whether it's by reaching them through medical professionals, reaching them through organizations, or reaching them directly. We are trying to change perceptions. We're starting with a launch event, like many of you, in January. It's going to be in Toronto, and we are gearing it specifically to media, food bloggers, the real foodie people who will get the word out for us that it's International Year of Pulses and we're celebrating, and they need to find out what the buzz is about. We've been developing some videos, and they are geared towards different audiences. We have one that's completely done that's geared towards growers, saying, why would you want to grow more pulses? We are doing nutrition ones and ones geared to the health community also. Like many of you, we're working on the recipe website. We're working with media outreach. We're reaching out to our members of parliament, both federally and provincially, so that we're kidding some of the key people who will then influence others. We have partnered with the Canadian Agricultural Museum to build a traveling exhibit that is small enough to fit on a semi-truck on the highways, but still small enough that they can put it not just in another museum, but perhaps into a mall, maybe into a exhibition like the Stampede. So it's still a work in progress, but we anticipate reaching a lot of consumers through that exhibit. We have two very good food facilities in Canada, one of them being CIGI, the Canadian International Grains Institute, and one of them being the POS. And they've developed a coordinated short course, 3 days at one, 3 days in the other, reaching out to the food companies, the General Millses and so on, and even the smaller to intermediate ones, and teaching them how best to incorporate pulses from a technical viewpoint. There will be engineers there will be the milling specialists, extrusion specialists, and really giving them valuable information. Many of you heard Dr. John Sievenpiper on Monday, I guess that was. He is going to be doing lunch and learn webinars for us, where we will tape the webinar with him and then use it at 20 teaching hospitals across the country, reaching those health professionals, giving them really, really solid data so that then they can go and as they're prescribing to their patients, they can be prescribing pulses just like Dr. Sievenpiper does, but they will be armed with all of the nutritional information that they need. Working with Julianne and Christine, we are doing some culinary promotions. We are working on getting pulses into a national food show. We're hoping for Master Chef, dealing with a couple of the other ones, and there's some Restaurants Canada shows, things like that. So we want to get pulses into the places where the foodies are. we've been able to get them into GastroPost, which is a competition that uses social media and the major newspapers, and just really trying to reach the consumers a little more there. We're partnering with Food Secure Canada, Food Secure in some of the provinces and some of the food banks to find ways to work with them to bring pulses into easy meal planning for people that need those services, but also to use those meal plans for people that maybe are short on time or just really want something quick they can do. So we're hoping to find some synergy between the food security and helping the busy consumer also. We've been working with Andrew's team in the UK and are really thrilled with the school materials they're developing. And so now we're working with our Ag in the Classroom people to find out how we can bring those school materials into our schools also. My personal goal is at the end of 2016, people that I meet in Canada will no longer say, pulses? What are pulses? They will say, oh, you work with a pulse group? You know, I really love using, and then they will tell me how they are using pulses in their daily meals. Thank you. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you, Allison. I love that goal. I want people in the whole creating awareness aspect to simply know what pulses are and not have to ask. So this is our challenge. Next on our list, actually, Andrew, if you'd like to come and talk about what's happening in the UK, or I missed Tim, you can come up next if you would.
Good afternoon. My name's Andrew Jacobs from Portman, London, and I have brought together a UK promotion team for International Year of Pulses. What a fantastic time to be in this industry. We have been given the most wonderful opportunity to jointly promote what are fantastic products. I'm doing this for my self-interest. It's going to be great for my company, for my business, if we can get the message across about all the benefits of pulse consumption and production. And I'm fortunate that in the UK, there are like-minded people who've agreed to come and work with me. We've got a small working group of about half a dozen people from different sectors of the industry, people who normally would compete, but who've taken the vision that we have an opportunity to grow the pie. This isn't about how do we make our slice bigger, it's how do we make the whole pie bigger. And having spent 44 years in this industry, there has never been a time like this where we're given central resources through the Global Pulse Confederation. We're putting together some fantastic resources that individual countries probably couldn't do on their own. You're going to be handed some great-looking websites. You're going to be handed fantastic recipes. You're going to be handed a school education pack, which has been centrally funded and centrally prepared. So what is it that we should be doing in our individual countries to take advantage of this? I'm awed by the potential in India with your over 1 billion inhabitants, and in the UK, you know, we're a 20th of that. But I think we can make a difference. So what we're looking for is some early adopters, some companies who are going to be champions, with the generous support of Canadian and American interests in particular, but also the Global Pulse Confederation. We've come up now for the first time with a global brand. For that global brand to take off, we need some champions, we need some early adopters, and we're working hard with private companies, some big labels, some big brands, to persuade them to step up and take leadership. And you people in the room, the fact that you're here on the third day of the convention, the fact that you've got an interest, you are the people that can make a difference in your own countries. If I can persuade H.J. Heinz to put the global Pulse brand on their 50 million cans a year. We've already got an interest from the Mitsubishi Group's Princess Foods to put the brand on 30 million cans a year. That's 80 million advertising opportunities in households throughout the United Kingdom. If they start putting the brand on, if we can get the hummus industry, hummus has become a very fashionable food, if we can get them to put the Global Pulse brand on, if we can get our major retailers to require of their packagers and food manufacturers to put the label on, then it's not going to be a hard sell. Initially, it's a hard sell, but once we've got those early adopters, I think others will follow. A few things that we're doing and where we're aiming, we're very much consumer focused. Our idea is that if beans are used once a week, if we can educate the consumers what great products they are and we can get that up to twice a week, what's that going to do for our business? The International Year of Quinoa did not have a global industry like we have. It was basically two countries, Peru and Bolivia. They weren't working on it for 5 years before their international year. They didn't have a pledge of $1.1 million to kick the thing off and help that multiply to $6 million, as we have got. And the imports of quinoa after International Year of Quinoa 2013 have gone up 168%. So our aim to increase consumption by 10% by 2020, I don't think is ambitious enough. Our launch event in the United Kingdom is going to be on the 6th of January, and the 6th of January has got a wonderful synchronicity for us in IOP because it's 12th night. And 12th night is known, if you look it up in Wikipedia, as Bean Feast, because it was on 12th night that employers threw a party for their employees, and within a cake there would be one bean, and whoever got the portion of cake with the bean in became the king of the bean feast. So we're going to try and use this as a hook with the Guild of Food Writers to get them along to our launch event with celebrity chefs, with the category managers from supermarkets, and make a big deal out of International Year of Pulses and Bean Feast. One of the things we've learned is that the food writers are almost finished with their Christmas recipes. And soon they're going to be looking at New Year diets after we've all eaten too much in Christmas 2015. So we need to get the advertisements out and the invitations out to the Guild of Food Writers in the next 4 to 6 weeks. I think 2016 is just around the corner. The Teacher's Toolkit has already been talked about, but we're very close to finishing that off. It's been written in the UK, but with an idea that it should be usable globally, particularly in the English-speaking world, but there's no reason why it wouldn't translate well into French and Spanish and Italian, Arabic, Chinese, whatever. The retailers have engaged with us, and they've shown great interest in promoting Pulses, because Pulses as a sector is ahead of budget in 2014-15. The challenge becomes who's going to pay for it, because the retailers have said, yeah, we can put a different variety featured each month. So for 12 months we'll feature 12 different varieties, and we'll have recipe cards available near point of sale. And I got really excited about this until I left the meeting, and the packagers for the supermarkets told me that the retailers will expect them to pay for all the promotions, and that becomes a challenge. But I heard a solution to the challenge today when Greg Simpson from Canada said, are you thinking of using QR codes which will take people straight through? They can scan it into their phone as they're going shopping and they see the Pulse products and go straight through to a recipe site. And Georgie, I haven't had a chance to mention it to you, but I see you nodding furiously. I think this is another great opportunity. These things will not happen if we sit on our backsides. These things will only happen if we get active. We're at a particular point in this industry where we have an unrivaled chance to promote our product. So I really encourage you to show your passion for pulses. I want people to ask me, why is the tagline, pulses, the future of food? We've got great answers for this. So we also share all our enthusiasm. We share our ideas on the National Committee calls. So do come and join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Lots of exciting things there. And I never knew about the 12th night bean feast. I really like that idea. I think we'll have a party for our staff at Chippewa Valley Bean as well. Tim McGreevy, would you talk to us about what we're going to be doing in the U.S.? And as Tim comes forward, one of the really exciting things will be, of course, the actual launch in New York when the UN announces it.
Well, thanks, Cindy. Actually, I am up here because all of my staff is in the International Year Theme Committee areas, actually working on the projects that we're trying to do as a global body. So, you know, I was handed notes from my staff. But let me tell you what is happening in the United States, and I'm going to highlight some key areas here that we are focused on, and Cindy touched on it just a little bit. Our investment in the U.S. is going to come in November because we're going to help sponsor the New York launch event, and it's going to be a media launch, all right? So the UN's going to have their big deal, and we hope to get Michelle Obama there to help us with our launch, and then we want to invite the media in to show them exactly why they need to be writing and investing their column inches and you know, videotapes and all their shows, why they need to be investing time in promoting pulse crops as the future of food. So our goal is, right, we want to become an essential food. We want to create the buzz. We want the launch to be the biggest launch of an international year ever, and that's what we're heading toward. So on Monday, actually, we are actually going to have a conference call with the Food Network. This is another focus of ours that we're trying to engage the Food Network, and we have some insider information on how to contact some of this. Actually, my daughter works for the largest talent agency in the world in New York City. She's their communications director. And so she has set me up with this. And I got to brag on my daughter a little bit here because she knows me really well, right? She says, I told her, I says, "Hun, we got this tremendous opportunity this international year. Everyone should be eating pulses just like you did as a child." And she said, "You're right, Dad. I'm going to help you out on this." And in fact, she has set me up with, I'm going to talk with the philanthropy arm of the Food Network on Monday because she pitched the story to them saying, these are great people, my dad's a good-looking guy, and he promotes the best crops in the entire world. So we're going to talk with their philanthropy arm on Monday to see what we can work out and get their, all their star chefs to look at pulse crops and incorporating them into their shows. We are working also, Julianne talked about the IFT product development competition, engaging young scientists. The USA, both the American Pulse Association and the Peanut Lentil Council will be partaking in that and helping to fund that, and we're looking for sponsors of that as well. In addition, we are also going to do a school competition. So not only for young scientists to do the masses and the consumers, but we think there should be a school food competition for pulse crops, because if we are going to have an influence on the next generation of young people, we think we need to develop foods that kids will eat. So we want to launch that event as well. We're going to do some scientific side events as well as an organization, the experimental biology. We're going to do the Food and Nutrition Conference and Expo to engage the dietitians of the world as well as our scientists to get them excited about studying and promoting pulse crops for not only beyond the international year, because our goal is, right, we want to become an essential food. We want to be the future of food. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. We've got a lot on our plate. I'm pretty darned excited about it. At this point, I wonder, Jan, would you like to talk about what's happening in Belgium? you've just started, but the good news there is you have started, and you have an able-bodied committee that's getting up and running. Albert Garcia, are you in the audience? From Spain? No, I don't see him. Is there anybody else before I call our celebrity Georgie Alley up to talk about Australia? And come on, Georgie. The reason why I'm calling you last is that in addition to what's happening in the country, you have a pretty major competition going on about a national signature dish. And actually, as we go forward on our next slide, and that's what I'd like you to talk about as well.
Thanks, Cindy, and it's a bit hard to go after Tim with so much energy. I'm fading after 3 days and a bit of jet lag, so I do apologise. And my voice is a bit croaky, but we'll work through it. So as Cindy said, we've got a lot of exciting things happening in Australia. It's a really exciting time for the two organisations involved in the International Year, which is the company I work for, which is the Grains and Legumes Nutrition Council, as well as a company called Pulse Australia. And what's really nice is our organisation, we work with manufacturers in any case. We've got about 60% of the Australian grain and legume manufacturing sector as members of our organisation. And we work with healthcare professionals right through to consumers, reaching about 40 million sort of audience reach on an annual basis. And then working with an organisation like Pulse Australia, who really works in the trade facilitation space and supporting what we do in terms of our net exporting country, like most of the other organisations before me. So what we're seeing is this great synergy and linkage across the Australian pulse supply chain, which we think is exciting. I guess issue of consumption in Australia, we only have about 30% of the population currently consuming pulses. So it really is, again, a challenge to bring the sexy back, as we say it, to pulses, and really push forward in terms of increasing their consumption. And what we know is the three questions that have been put up over the last few days. Australians know that pulses are good for them. They know there's some inherent health benefits, but really it's around how do I incorporate them, how do I use them, I just don't think about them. So salience as well as how to use them is really the key issue. So our focus is on about increasing consumption, increasing production in Australia, as well as trying to foster some more collaboration across the supply chain. So we formed our national committee in about August last year. Like everybody else, we've got great representation across the supply chain, from plant breeding, growers, agronomists out in the field, through to researchers both in human health as well as agronomic research, manufacturers and healthcare professionals. We developed our work plan towards the end of last year, and I'll just run through some of the key activities that we're focused on. We're looking to run a health and nutrition symposium to engage academics and healthcare professionals in pulse research in April 2016. In addition, we've got a Plant Breeding Australia conference, which is held in September 2016. And again, what we're trying to do here is bring together our public plant breeding organisations with the private investors, and really start looking at, from an Australian sector, how do we deal with variety development, how do we deal with growing some of our markets. And there was a gentleman the other day who asked a question in our thematic area, and I would say that that's not something being picked up in global work plans. Under some of the global themes, if there are areas that you think are of interest in from a national perspective that aren't in global work plans, pick them up. We know that the variety development's a key area for Australia. The breeding for us is crucial, so it's something we're doing on a local scale. We ourselves have already committed to the product development competition. In my part-time, I run the Australian Institute of Food Science and Technology, and we have a very close linkage with IFT in the US, and we'll be working to collaborate in that program in 2016, which is, we already run a product development competition, but making 2016 focused on pulses. Key area around mapping new pulse market opportunities, and Pulse Australia's been doing a lot of work in that space, and 2016 for us will really be a good opportunity to keep pushing those new market opportunities forward. We've engaged significant food manufacturers, including groups like George Weston, Kellogg's, Nestle, Simplot, Heinz, Andrew, competing on the local scale at home. And we've got already some new product launches prepared for 2016. We've got some coming out in the lead up to 2016, which is really exciting. But they are very keen to engage in the brand. So that brand administration from an Australian level is really crucial, so we can start driving that forward. Tasting Australia is an annual signature event in Australia that brings together consumers, a lot of the emerging new products onto the market, very focused on some of the smaller emerging food manufacturers. And that Tasting Australia event will be held in April 2016 in Adelaide, South Australia, for anyone interested in good food and wine. And it really will be an opportunity for the pulse industry to engage in a forward-facing way with consumers. We ourselves have engaged a celebrity chef as an advocate for us, a gentleman called Simon Bryant, and we again continue to have key, influential people in not only the chef space, but also in some of those healthcare professional blogging online space who are keen to be the champions for the year. So we'll continue to engage a suite of champions to really be on the front foot for us during the year. And as Cindy said, we have done a competition. We've sort of approached the national signature dish a little differently to, I think, some of our other national committees. We saw this as a really good opportunity to engage with the Australian population, but also to engage with manufacturers and healthcare professionals and start generating that excitement about pulses in 2015. So we launched 2 days ago, and thanks to our staff back home that have been working on it, we launched it 2 days ago, National Signature Recipe Competition. And we've got a whole range of categories within the competition. We're targeting amateurs, so the average Australian consumer. We've got a professional category, so really targeting chefs. We've got a food service space, so some of our manufacturers have food service arms in Australia and are looking to submit recipes through their food service areas. So our competition's running until the end of May. We've engaged 4 key people along with our celebrity chef to be the panel judge for that event. We're looking to hold an event in Melbourne in conjunction with our annual Australian Grains Industry Conference, which is held in July, where we'll bring together all of the people that have submitted the recipes. We'll film them, we'll cook the recipes, there'll be a tasting opportunity, and then the winners of each of those categories will have all of their recipes professionally styled. One of our panel judges is a well-known Australian food critic who works with a company called taste.com.au, a well-known recipe site in Australia, and so we'll be working with them to really be able to showcase the winning recipes. And what's really lovely is the Australian Grains Industry Conference dinner will actually be cooking the winning recipe, as part of the dinner that evening for our 1,000 delegates that we have at our annual Grains Conference. So the recipe competition is really exciting. Feel free to jump online. It's very much a social media driven campaign, and we've got a lot of support and championing from a lot of our stakeholders back in Australia. So very exciting. Sort of 2 key last things. We're really interested in this Pulse Nutrition Society. My colleague Michelle Broom, who spoke in the panel with Andrew the other day, is a healthcare professional herself, and we're very keen to bring together the Pulse Nutrition research community in Australia. We see it as a big gap. We've seen it as a gap for a while, but really make that part of that broader global engagement, because we do work at that international level. And the schools program, we plan to take that up in Australia and work with one of our organisations who will roll that out. So I guess next steps for us, we are dragging the chain, but we were meant to have them through before this week, supporting with the recipes and photo donation to the International Year. It's an activity for our committee to push through in the next couple of weeks. But funding outreach, like every organisation that's already spoken, I think funding's crucial for everybody. And look, financial markets in Australia can be tough, so we're working in the next few weeks to really start pulling together that funding opportunity for Australia. So we look forward to being able to confirm our support going forward. Looking to also launch, I guess, the actual year in an event in Australia in October. Similar sort of style with the auction stuff last night, but a big gala dinner pre the harvest that we'll head into in mid-October. So really starting to generate that interest as we lead into 2016. And I think that's it from Australia, but yeah, any questions, happy to talk to anybody. And again, I think the work that all the national committees have outlined today is fantastic, and I think if we can all do our little bit on a local scale, it really enhances the work at the international level, which, you know, has been clearly demonstrated this week is a significant amount of work. And yeah, it's a very exciting opportunity. So thank you for the opportunity to speak about Australia.
Thank you so much, Georgie. There's so much going on, and as we have opportunities to take the information coming out of creating awareness to be used to help each of our national committees launch and continue with their great events. And we've talked a little bit along the way. Andrew had talked about this particular date as the 12th night, the Bean Feast. And as we choose that night as a very special night to have a rolling launch for IYOP. And I know some of our individual countries are going to be doing a launch at a different time. But this one, just think about it. You know, the sun is coming up over Australia, and we have something going on, and it just rolls forward through the rest of the world. An opportunity to live stream each of those events, and then to think about what would the success be? How do we challenge each of us to come up with a great event, and think about maybe statistical ways or things that we can use to measure the success, and something in that might be the number of media hits. But I know as we go forward, there will be lots of opportunities to continue planning and working through it. And that would be something that on our next agenda for IYOP National Committee conference calls, that I think we should talk about what we're planning and how we're going about it. But in the meantime, of all of you who are here on the national committees, could you raise your hands if you think you'll be able to participate in this rolling launch, just to get a heads up? All right, very good. We'll at least cover part of the world. Thank you. Our next aspect is really, we're getting near the end of our timing, and we want to talk today about a capacity building workshop. And Emerging Ag is offering this to us, of course, to bring us up to date, train us on the messaging, the new media, partnerships and events, and then we'll have basically a half an hour of discussion where we haven't had an individual basis here today. How many of you have this on your schedule and are interested in attending? All right, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, fantastic. It will be at 1500 hours in the Calabria room, did I say that? Right, well anyway, so we'll look forward to that and having some good participation. Connor has a few comments just to add, and I want to thank all of you for your participation today.
Just a couple other things to quickly mention. First off, thanks everyone who attended. Love to hear what's going on out there in the national committees. It's an exciting time, and it's great to hear all the great things that everyone's up to. So just a quick reminder, the meeting regarding the Global Food Product Competition is going on at 1:10 here very shortly in room 632 of Palace Tower, if anyone is interested in attending that. As well, we are doing some video interviews. Stephanie in the back is taking on anyone who will speak regarding pulses and IYOP. If anyone from your country or your organization has not yet had the opportunity to participate in a video interview for IYOP, we encourage you to do so and just speak with Stephanie in the back, as I said. The other thing I'd like to mention is that you may have seen them around. For this conference, we had developed some and printed off some lovely recipe cards using high quality recipes and photography generously donated from the U.S. National Committee. And we would like to encourage you, if you'd like to take some of those home with you to distribute at events, to do so, come speak with someone on the emerging team, and we'll happily give you some to take home so that you can distribute those at your events. I believe that's all we had, unless there was any other business or anyone who has not yet spoken who wished to speak. Or if there's any questions from anyone in the crowd, anyone who's here, we encourage you to do so now. Okay, all right. Thanks so much, everyone, and let Cindy sign off here.
Well, national committees, you are the basis of our support. We have 4 other theme committees that are out doing their job to bring everything back to you. And while we'll have our overarching events on a national basis, the challenge to each of you is to continue doing the good work you're doing in the planning and the execution of all the events over the next 18 months. So thank you for your participation, and we look forward to our next conference call.
All right, I would like to thank the IYOP National Committee, and especially the IYOP National Committee Chair, who goes on 2 conference calls, right? One early in the morning, one late at night. And again, a big round of applause for Cindy Brown for her leadership on the national committees.